Let's see what we learned about live steaming when we went to Largo, Florida last weekend. Last weekend we went to Largo, Florida, and we rode on the Central Park Railroad there with Zane Ellis. But at the end of our trip, Zane took us over to the maintenance facility where we got to talk to the guy that was running the steam locomotive that we saw several times in the video, and I'll show you a couple of more of the times here. We're going to continue our train ride over to the maintenance facility with Zane. So we left off going into the tunnel, so let's get on the other side of that tunnel. We learned a little bit of information about the steam locomotive from Tony Burzio, who operated the 260 locomotive at the Central Park Railroad. Yeah. Go down and take a look?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, just be careful. There are sharp things that you can
sharp and hot.
Everywhere.
Okay.
And his name's Tom. I call him Chocolate Tom.
Oh, okay.
Ask me how I know that. That happened to me. Now the end here is kind of tricky, so be real careful.
Okay.
This is the interlock for the transfer table. There you go. Up or down there.
You got it?
It's not too bad. It's just
good.
Be careful.
Good leg.
There we
go.
Woo, well done. So here's my poor little steam engine. She's all down here today. See this? That pile of stuff down there?
Uh-huh.
That's the stuff that won't burn. So every time I come here, I put a little bit more in there. Eventually, it'll go all the way up to the track. So, she ran well. That was a full 3 hours. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Me too.
She did good. I'm really happy with it.
I really like that. It's so cute.
Pretty. The colors are actual Baldwin colors from the year that was built. I got it off the Railroad Museum in Nevada.
Yeah.
That's exactly the color for the Inyo.
So what scale is this?
1/8.
1/8. Okay.
More or less.
Yeah. Close to 1/8.
1.6. A little bit bigger. Just a 1.6 to the inch. To the foot, because they made a typo. It was supposed to have been 4 1/4. It's 7 1/4, but they made it 7 1/2. Remember the old typewriters had the 1/2 and 1/4 on the same button? Somebody didn't hit shift. So the West Coast started doing 7 1/2. So in order to make up the difference, they make the engines just a teeny bit bigger.
Yeah.
The 1.6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But there's so many manufacturers out west that we're taking over. So, well, the rest of the world 7 1/4 is like, you can't. How are you going to ship these things? Come on, you know. As long as it works here, that's all that matters. But New England pretty much is 7 1/4 still, and we're 7 1/2 everywhere else. Yeah, pretty little engine. This is a kit from a company called OS in Japan.
So how much is that cost you?
I bought it for 24 grand.
Yeah.
And it was it's a little bit less now. It's about 21, something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's finished. You just have to assemble it.
Yeah.
It took me 5 months to put it together.
Wow.
Because it turns out the outside doesn't look at all like the inside. It took me a while to figure out what they meant. It's like, what that? But a really nice instruction.
Yeah. Oh,
Once I figured out, American engines have green on the inside of the cab. I didn't understand that until one time in the dark after we painted it. Street light way down the street hit that green, it glows in the dark.
Oh yeah?
It's a heads-up display.
Oh.
That's why the light green was on everything, because in dim light it glows, so you don't hit the walls and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But that's pretty neat. All the old engines were bright green. When they go to a darker green, that's when they start having electric power inside rather than just.
Okay, bye now.
All right. Thanks, Zane.
You.
Yeah, we'll put it up this weekend or something.
Are you one of the YouTuber guys?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Tom's trying some things.
See, he's running pretty good. I'm impressed.
How do you like that gimbal?
I like it. I mean, you can put it anywhere and well, unless when it does something like that, but it works pretty good.
I picked one up last year, gave it a trial. It's got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
The only problem with the cell phone, they got horrendous audio.
Yeah.
I got to try and figure out where the mics are on the bag. Mine, you told me mine records in stereo.
Yeah. Well,
where's the second mic?
Well, mine has a real small hole on this side for the mic, and then one on this side, a bigger one on this side.
Okay.
But it's almost blocked right there. But when I record, yeah. But I got to find a different kind of. I got to find a 90-degree angle.
Oh, this is my bell.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
So I come into the station, I ring the bell.
All right, good.
So this is a recording of an actual bell, because the little tiny bell sounds, pretty small.
Does it ding just once?
Oh no, it just rings forever until I turn it off.
Oh, okay.
It just keeps ringing. It's a.
Okay, because I do ding that bell. I try to find different bells all over the place.
Yeah.
So that I got a good recording of that right now. All right.
That's pretty neat, because I come into the station, it's so quiet.
Yeah.
I can sneak up on people. That's why I got the bell.
I didn't realize it cost so much.
Yeah, well, it's complete.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if you started out, some of our friends in San Diego build Cheys and such, right? The little side acting one. And they'll start out with a Chevy engine block, because the old Chevys had first pour metal. So you could slice them up into pieces and make a steam engine. It takes longer. A lot longer. Of course, the boilers are all made by pretty much one person. Marty makes all the boilers for us. He has a company, nice gentleman. And you just tell him what engine you want it for, and he makes your boiler, because it's not worth it. But everything else the guys make from scratch.
Oh, wow.
Drivers, everything. Now, some of them will do halfways. There are companies like Allen who will sell castings, and you machine the castings.
Yeah.
And that's nice, because it's he has a really nice setup. And they're doing more and more laser cut things, so it makes it a lot easier to build things. So it's complete, and it's got the quality and the strict trueness of a laser cut.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the kit people.
Yeah, laser cuts a lot better.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about distortion. And,
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time for stuff because the hard part is all the decorations.
Yeah.
This is a very primitive engine. It has a blower. That's all they have.
Yeah.
Just the blower. So it's easy to drive. When you stop, you turn the blow on. When you go, you turn the blower off. Everything else is mechanical. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's kind of nice. This is our 9th year.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So I was out in San Diego and then Orange County, and then I came out here for the last 4 years. Full passengers.
Yeah. Oh wow.
This is probably the nicest track I've been to. The layout is really nice here. Very impressive. Tom's our master track worker. track work is unparalleled.
Yeah.
It's smooth as glass. I mean, I go around, there's no chance of a derailment.
All right. Yeah.
That's fine. This freaks people out. My gauge is in megapascals, since it's Japanese.
Yeah.
So I go to my boiler test and like, what do you run at? Oh, 0.51 megapascals. All right, what is that in real numbers? Oh, 81. Oh, okay, 81, that'll work. But you can tell, it has instead of an American-style pull throttle, it's got a regulator, which rotates.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a British style. You know, so way underneath the center dome, there's actually a T, which this rotates, a ball valve.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a little T up about 4 inches, and that's where the steam comes from.
Oh,
in the middle of it. And then this one is purely for the excess pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the front one is where you fill the water up in the boiler.
Oh, okay.
Baldwin had a classic 3-dome system. These moguls were light. They're too light for the steam they make.
Yeah.
So they'd have to use a lot of sand. And that's the reason for the extra domes. It would have been 2 sand domes. It just pours sand. That's why they went for the 280. They found they could put more drivers for the amount of steam it was making. And that was pretty much, you know, the classic until the end of time.
That's amazing.
So those are my grates down there. That's all I have. It's a little 4x6. That's all it is.
Wow.
You can't leave the engine alone when you're driving it because that small of a bit of a hole will just go away. Nice. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too.
It's a nice engine to run. I mean, if I break something, I just email Japan and it's here in 3 days.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Hey, I can't even get the attention of a vendor in America for that.
Wow.
So, nice.
You're lucky because I try to get electronic parts from China and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get them in.
Well, they send them all airmail.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, wow.
for unusual parts like this. Yeah, that fancy number 7 is actually just the door pull.
Oh, really?
That's what that's for. That's how you open the door. When it cools down enough, you open the whole front door opens, and it'll be filled up with ash.
Yeah.
And it'll be blocking the lower 3 levels of the flues, and that's why it'll stop running well. It'll just slowly, as I lose banks of flues, I have less and less ability to transfer heat.
Right.
So it's all going out the stack. So that's why it'll slowly die and I have to stop it. But you can't open the door until it's cool enough where you'll hurt the flues.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll let it sit for a couple hours and come down and vacuum all the dust out. I'll start over again. Then I'll go home and find out what fell apart. Oh, it vibrates. Oh, these things vibrate like mad. And you just go through and find out what shook loose.
Wow.
And right now I've been going through all the O-rings are starting to give out because it's old, 8 years old. So I replace one O-ring every time I go.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's like that. Well, like the check valves for the boiler. This is how the water is pushed in to the boiler under pressure.
Yeah.
Now it's in the front because it's going to be cold water. And so they have hot water in the back, cold water on the front. That makes it rotate through the boiler. So if you put the cold water back here, it would mess that up. It wouldn't circulate correctly.
Right.
So the cold water is in the front. If this had an injector which injected hot water, it would be in the back. That's what the other input's for. But this one has just a regular feed axle pump. And so in there is just a little ball bearing, and it sits on a little O-ring as a seat.
Oh,
so
wow.
eventually you have to replace the O-ring.
Yeah.
Simple enough. You just take it apart. It's a very simple machine. There's one on either side. I have between running off the back axle, there is an axle pump, which pumps water into the boiler. And then I have the hand crank. Well, this is my backup in case the other one fails.
Oh, okay.
You always have to have 2 ways. So there's one on either side of the boiler. It's nice, this mill machine. Of course, there's no oil feeds or anything. You just slather oil all over it.
Oh, you even got a little sight glass on there.
Yep.
All
You gotta
right.
keep the water level right. That's the trick that got us off the horses was water stays at the boiling point of water until it turns all into steam. So it won't go above boiling until the water's gone.
Yeah.
So as long as so the fire will actually melt the boiler material. But the water on the outside of it will resist because it can't go above the boiling point of water until the water's gone. So as long as you have it up in the glass, usually about halfway, a little less, as you can see on the bottom here, there are a line of, see the line of rivets?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where the water gets really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the glass is above that by about a half an inch. So as long as there's water in the glass, you know that it's above that rivet line and it's protected from damage on the boiler.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to work on boilers, but they were a lot bigger than that. They were 150 horsepower. And
now this is pure copper too,
yeah.
So I'm limited to 80 psi.
Yeah.
Any more than that, I get the pufferfish. So they're like, well, why don't you make it go faster, higher than that? It's like, it's all copper, guys. Yeah, no. Because anything more pressure, like 125, it'll be a steel outer casing. The copper flues, but the pressure vessel itself will be steel. Then once you have steel, you have all the problems of rust. So I have copper, so I empty it out. I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about rust, just calcium, and we have calcium additives that you put in.
So you have to keep an eye on the sight glass. It's not automatic. Automatic fill. You have
Boom.
to. Yeah. You got to.
Well, see this valve right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bypass for the axle pump. Right now it's on. Okay. So if you look inside here, this is the tank. You'll see there's a tube right here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you turn on the bypass, it'll pump back into the tank. There'll be water squirting out of there. So when you close this, okay, it'll close the connection because this is low pressure. It'll then start pushing it into past the check. So it'll be able to lift the ball above 80 psi and push cold water into the boiler.
Yeah.
Now, if you get too much water, you start having water coming out the stack. Yeah. Because it'll overflow, the ball will overflow, and that little input for the steam will get overflowed, and it'll have water down in the cylinders, and you get all wet. Luckily, this is a slide, so when you get too much water in the piston, this will actually lift and it'll allow the water to come up. Some of them will have pistons type, and those are more dangerous because that'll actually water hammer and do damage. But this is, like I said, this is a beginner engine, so they do everything that you can to make it so that you can't hurt anything, which is nice.
Yeah, that's...
Took me a long time to figure out why there's a black section on the boiler. That's where the fire is.
Yeah.
In this era, this would have been wood insulation, and this would catch on fire all the time. So they didn't bother putting the fancy Russian iron on it because they were removing it all anyway. You see an old boiler, it's like, oh yeah, you can tell the year they went to asbestos instead of wood, because it's like, oh, we got to take that off again. This Russian iron was an early type of stainless steel.
Really?
And it was, think space shuttle tiles. They would actually be made in Russia in little tiny pieces, and they have to hammer it in the big sheets. But it was the only thing that wouldn't rust. That's why everything else is brass, because they didn't have any paint that would work in high temperature.
Yeah.
So it took them a while. Hello! Hello. She's all set. Don't let Doggy come too close. It may be warm under the boiler right now. But she's all put to bed. She ran great. 3 hours. That was amazing.
Well, I hope you learned something about live steaming. I worked on boilers for almost 40 years working in the laundry, and they were practically nothing compared to the attention you have to give the boiler on a steam locomotive. The ones I worked on, you flipped the switch, everything was automatic. It had the automatic fill, it had the automatic shutdown, everything was automatic on it. So you didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. But on here, like he said, like Tony said on there, you have to watch everything on her. You have to manually fill it up, watch the sight gauge and everything else. So I hope you learned something from that. I sure did. So until next time, we'll see you.